Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of sources, research, and expert notes and really just pull out the sharpest insights for you.
And today, we're getting into a big one.
A huge one. We are tearing into a foundational financial text, a book that really shook up the beliefs of the middle class. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter.
Right, and this book, it doesn't just give you tips, it sets up a fundamental conflict right there in the subtitle, which is pretty provocative.
It is. What the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class do not.
Exactly. So Kiyosaki, the author, he says he was raised by two very different father figures. His poor dad was, highly educated, had a PhD, was the superintendent of education, but he struggled with money his entire life.
And then you have his rich dad,
Right.
a guy who never even finished school but somehow became one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs in Hawaii.
And that's our mission for this deep dive, to really break down the completely opposite financial rules these two men taught.
And to show why the conventional path, go to school, get good grades, find a safe, secure job, is, in today's world, actually seen as obsolete and maybe even risky.
And this wasn't just a theoretical idea. The co-author, Sharon Lechter, she saw this firsthand. Her son came home from school just completely disillusioned, and at the same time, he was already facing mounting credit card debt. I mean, the system just wasn't giving him the financial intelligence he needed. It pushed them to look for something else.
Okay, so let's start with the core problem, the thing Kiyosaki famously calls the rat race.
Right.
He has this concept on his cash flow game board, that inner track. It's a cycle that traps the educated, hardworking person. So where does it start?
Well, it begins with what sounds like good advice. Study hard, get that high-paying job, you become a doctor, a lawyer, a government worker, whatever.
And the money is good at first.
The money is great at first. But the second that income starts flowing, so does what we call lifestyle inflation. You get a credit card, then another one.
Your limits go up.
Your limits go up, and your spending goes up with them, usually leading to the biggest liability most people ever buy, a big mortgaged house.
And this is where the cycle really becomes a trap, right? Because your income goes up, which pushes you into a higher tax bracket.
Exactly. But your expenses are also climbing. Higher mortgage, higher property taxes, insurance. It all goes up. You end up working harder and harder just to, stay in the same place.
You look at your paycheck and wonder where it all went.
You do. And Kiyosaki's argument is that you're working incredibly hard for three different entities. First, the company owner or the shareholders.
Okay.
Second, the government. Taxes are often your single biggest expense. And third, the bank, which is getting rich off your mortgage and your credit card debt.
So you're not really working for yourself.
Not at all. And the things that keep this wheel spinning, they aren't logical. They're emotional.
He identifies two key emotions, right?
Yes. The first is fear. The fear of not paying your bills, the fear of getting fired, of having to start all over again.
And the second one?
The second is desire, or you could call it greed. It's that desire for nicer things, a better lifestyle.
So the money you earn just temporarily quiets the fear and satisfies the desire.
For a moment. But because those emotions are in the driver's seat, the money ends up controlling you, and it pushes you right back into the race.
So the big lesson, the exit plan, is that the rich don't work for money.
No. They learn how to make money work for them.
Rich Dad taught this lesson in a pretty intense way. He had a young Kiyosaki work for free. That sounds so counterintuitive.
It does, but it's incredibly effective.
Yeah.
Because it immediately takes the paycheck, the desire, out of the equation.
Okay.
The pressure of not getting paid forces your mind to stop reacting emotionally and start looking for creative ways to make money. It teaches you to think, to delay your reaction, instead of just responding to fear or want.
That mental shift is everything. And it leads us right into lesson 2, which is about knowing the difference between assets and liabilities.
The absolute core vocabulary of finance. And it's shocking how many highly educated people, doctors, executives, just don't have it.
They struggle with money because they don't speak the language.
They don't. Rich Dad was all about the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. And his definitions are purely based on numbers, on cash flow.
Let's lay them out then. Super simple.
An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. The cash flows toward you.
And a liability.
A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. The cash flows away from you. Simple as that.
Okay, and this simple framework leads to the book's most controversial claim, the one that really challenges the American dream, that your personal home is, for most people, a liability. Now, I have to push back a little here. I mean, Homes appreciate, you can deduct mortgage interest. Isn't he just being provocative?
He's not saying those things don't exist, but he's saying they distract from the main point, which is immediate monthly cash flow.
Okay.
For most people, a house is a constant outflow of cash. You have the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities.
It's all money going out every single month.
Exactly. It's pulling money out of your pocket constantly. A potential capital gain years down the road doesn't change the fact that every month it requires you to work to feed it.
So the real issue is the opportunity cost. That money is tied up paying for the house instead of being invested somewhere that actually generates income.
That's the key. The middle class buys liabilities like a big house and then has to work harder. The rich buy assets first, and those assets then pay for everything else. It's about looking at the numbers, not the sentimental value.
And that idea is really at the heart of this entire book. So we really want to hear what you think about this. Based on Kiyosaki's simple cash flow definitions, do you see your home as an asset or a liability? Please let us know your answer in the comments below. We'd love to see the discussion.
Right. So if we agree that assets are the key, lesson 3 is about how you build them. And that's by focusing on your own business.
He makes a really critical distinction here between your profession and your business.
He does. And the classic story he uses is about Ray Kroc and McDonald's.
Right. Kroc asks a group of MBA students what business he's in, and they all yell out.
Hamburgers, of course.
And he says, no, my business is real estate.
It's a total game changer of a thought. Kroc's profession was selling burgers, sure, but his business was accumulating income-producing real estate under every single one of those golden arches.
And it worked. I mean, McDonald's now owns more real estate than the Catholic Church, which is just mind-blowing.
It is. It fundamentally changes how you think about a hamburger business.
So the big takeaway for you, the listener, is that your profession, your job, is about working for someone else's income column. Financial security comes from using your salary to build your own asset column.
That's it. To get wealthy, you have to mind your own business. That means putting your time and money into buying assets that generate cash flow.
And he lists what those true assets are. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, income-producing real estate.
Businesses that don't need you there, intellectual property, things that put money in your pocket whether you show up to work or not.
And this is where that luxury trap comes in. The rich build that asset column first.
Right. And only when those assets are generating enough cash flow do they go out and buy the luxuries, the nice car, the boat. The assets pay for the liabilities.
Whereas the poor and middle class do it backwards. They buy the liabilities first to look rich.
They do. They go into debt for a fancy car or a big TV, and that just sinks them deeper into the rat race. They're prioritizing the appearance of wealth over the actual generation of wealth.
So, okay, the rich focus on assets. But how do they protect them? This brings us to lesson 4, which is all about understanding the rules of the game, especially taxes.
Absolutely. And the history of income tax in the U.S. is the perfect example of how the rich adapt.
The 16th Amendment, 1913. It was sold as a Robin Hood tax, right? Punished the rich.
It was. And the middle and poor classes voted for it, thinking it would only ever apply to the wealthy.
But that's not what happened.
Not at all. The rich didn't just sit there and take it. They had the resources, so they hired the best lawyers and accountants. They used the very same laws to their advantage and, over time, shifted the tax burden squarely onto the middle class. And Kiyosaki says their biggest secret weapon is the corporation.
The legal structure is everything.
It is. Just look at the cash flow. For an employee, you earn money, then you immediately pay taxes on it, your biggest expense, and then you get to spend whatever is left.
But for a corporation, the structure the rich use, it's totally different.
Completely inverted. The corporation earns, then it spends on all sorts of legally deductible expenses. We're talking cars, travel, meals.
Board meetings in Hawaii.
Exactly. And then only after all that spending, it pays taxes on whatever little is left over. It's a massive, massive advantage.
So to even play this game, you need what he calls a high financial IQ.
You do. And that's built on 4 specific technical skills.
The first one is accounting. Financial literacy.
Right. Not just balancing a checkbook, but actually being able to read and understand financial statements. It's the language of money.
The second is investment. The science of making money, make more money.
This is the creative side. Seeing the opportunities, knowing the strategies.
Third, understanding markets. The law of supply and demand.
And that's both the economics of it and the emotional side of it, the psychology. Why did everyone suddenly need a Tickle Me Elmo? Understanding that is key.
And the fourth, and maybe the most important, is the law.
Crucial. You have to understand corporate and tax advantages to legally use them to minimize taxes and protect your assets. It's about playing the game intelligently, not out of fear.
Those four pillars together are what create real wealth.
Yeah.
You move from being a pawn in the system to actually, well, using the system.
You really do.
And look, if you are finding these deep dives valuable and want more financial intelligence like this, please just take a moment to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button, and maybe share this deep dive with a friend who needs to escape their own rat race.
Which brings us to the last part, the power of mindset and action. Kiyosaki makes a really strong point that the biggest barrier isn't a lack of information, it's what's going on inside our own heads.
It's self-doubt, cynicism, that paralyzing fear of losing.
Yeah. He says that luck and money are created. You don't just find them. And to start, you need a really powerful reason why.
The power of the spirit, he calls it.
Exactly. This journey is long, so your wants and your don't wants have to be deeply emotional. Things like, I don't want to work my whole life for someone else, or I want the freedom to control my own time.
That emotional fuel then lets you take on the hardest step of all.
The hardest one by far, pay yourself first.
Which is the complete opposite of what most of us are taught. We're taught to pay our bills, our creditors, and then save what's left.
He says flip it. You put money into your asset column before you pay anyone else.
But wouldn't the pressure from creditors be immense?
Yeah. That's the whole point. He says you should use that pressure. Let it inspire you to find new ways to generate income. It forces you to be creative, to build more assets, rather than just dipping into your savings to quiet the bill collector.
It's a radical idea. It demands so much discipline.
It does. But he says every dollar you get is a vote for your future. You're choosing to be rich or poor. You can invest in your mind and your education, or you can buy a new TV. True intelligence is about welcoming new ideas, listening more than you talk.
And then you have to act.
You have to act. So many people are paralyzed by a fear of failure, but winners are inspired by failure. Think, remember the Alamo. It's a rallying cry born from defeat.
The idea that investing is risky is really just a symptom of a lack of financial intelligence.
Precisely. The goal isn't to avoid risk. That guarantees you stay where you are. The goal is to learn how to manage risk, and you do that with knowledge, with those four pillars.
So that's really the core of the whole philosophy. It's about choice, knowledge, and mindset. Money is just an idea. If you want more of it, you have to change how you think. I mean, he talks about turning an initial $5,000 into assets, making $5,000 a month in cash flow in just 6 years.
And that $5,000 a month is the magic number. That's when his passive income from his assets was more than his monthly expenses. He was financially free. He didn't need a job anymore.
But the irony that keeps most people trapped is how they react to the market.
It's the perfect summary of the two mindsets. When the stock market is going up, when things are expensive, the average person rushes in to buy.
Yeah, FOMO, fear of missing out.
Right. But when the market crashes, when everything is on sale, they panic and run away.
It's the exact opposite of how they'd act if they saw toilet paper on sale at the supermarket. They'd stock up.
Exactly. It shows they're investing with emotion, with fear, instead of with intelligence.
Wow. We have only just scratched the surface of Kiyosaki's lessons here. What surprised you the most about this deep dive? Especially that concept that your house might actually be a liability? Please let us know your biggest takeaway in the comments. We really do love reading your responses.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the deep dive.